Hello again, and I hope you're all well, and welcome to KBC's Daily Bible Blog. Well, today we're in Acts 2. Wow, what a chapter! Action-packed, so much happens. And it's a pivotal time for the church, literally the birth of the early church. What a steep learning curve they're on in this chapter. Look what happens. They receive the Holy Spirit in a torrent of wind and fire, and they experience the miracle of communication to be able to speak in other tongues, a kind of reversal of the Tower of Babel. Peter preaches to the crowd and somehow makes sense of it all, and then they have to deal with thousands of new followers, all in one day. Steep learning curve. Well, this kind of sets the scene for much of what we find in Acts, really. They are in a continual state of learning and adapting. Everything is new. Remember, we're about 15 years away from the writings of Paul, in the letters to give shape to their theology. But even at this early stage, Peter is explaining things to the crowd who've been drawn by this spectacle. And how informed he sounds. Remember, he's just been zapped by the Holy Spirit, who is there to empower. Jesus said that would happen in chapter 1, verse 8. And he's also seen leading them into all truth, and the Holy Spirit is there to lead us into all truth. John 14, Jesus speaks those words. So there he is, bold and full of wisdom. And in verses 14 to 21, he outlines the fulfillment of prophecy from Joel. And in verses 22 to 36, he outlines the truth about Jesus and what he's accomplished. And in verses 37 to 41, we see the crowd's response. Wow, how far Peter has come. And what of that crowd? The passage says that they were visitors from many countries, and it outlines a great list of countries that pilgrims, Jewish pilgrims, have travelled from far and wide, Jews and Jewish converts. And each have their own language. They've been living in these places. Perhaps they don't speak Aramaic anymore. They maybe speak Greek, the language of the Roman Empire, but they each have their own home, their own mother tongue now. And where are they? Well, why are they there? Well, they could have been there to celebrate the Feast of Shavuot, which has many names in the Bible. The Feast of Weeks, the Feast of Harvest, celebrated on the 50th day after Passover, which was a kind of harvest festival. But it was more significant than ours. It commemorated the time of giving of the law as well, the Torah through Moses. So God chooses this time to send his Holy Spirit. You wonder if it's a reaping of the harvest of souls as well as other things. And boy, did they reap a harvest of souls on that day. But there's one moment I want to highlight particularly. After witnessing the miracle of the Spirit and the speaking of tongues and the watching of this amazing thing, the crowd is divided. They are, some of them are amazed and they recognize the miracle for what it is. Others just say, they're drunk, and dismiss them. They both witnessed the same event, but they had very different reactions. By the way, I love Peter's reaction to the accusation of being drunk. He says, hang on a minute. Nope, it's only 9 o'clock in the morning, as if to say, never before breakfast. But what that makes me think is, how do we hear and see things? Jesus was always warning people, wasn't he, that be careful how you listen. Do we dismiss things without giving it careful thought? There was a significant group here that wrote them off. Did they stay and listen to things that Peter said, or just wander away? Well, if they stayed and listened with an open heart, they would have certainly seen the truth and responded, as thousands of people did. So here's the question: what will we do? And Peter explained that faith in Jesus is where it's at. Do we stop and look into that in more depth, or do we just dismiss it, walk away? And the last section deals with how they organized themselves in those early days. And what's amazing is they chose to do things that are preserved in churches today. In verses 42 to 47, they said they devoted themselves to teaching, to fellowship, to breaking of bread, and to prayer. And also actually praise and worship in verse 47. So they got off to a really good start. But it wouldn't be all plain sailing, would it? As we'll see in the coming chapters. But clearly, just to repeat, the most significant thing that happens in this chapter is the They received the Holy Spirit, the promised Holy Spirit. Jesus said it would happen. In Acts 1, verse 8, he said, this will come to empower you. So what else does the Holy Spirit bring, as well as power? In John 14, Jesus said that the Holy Spirit will come to be your counselor, your advocate, your comforter, your bringer of peace. He will also be your teacher to lead you into all truth and remind you of the words of Jesus. So this is what they were equipped with. And this is what we can be equipped with as well. So thank you for listening. God bless. Stay safe. See you soon.